There's a lot of news stories going around involving a big ban for Jey Uso. We'll also check out what's going on with Drew McIntyre, Becky Lynch, and much more. Starting things off with the big update for Becky Lynch and what appears to be her new story and direction. It's been a popular rumor that Becky Lynch will challenge Rhea Ripley for the women's world title at WrestleMania 40. So that's why they haven't turned to that feud quite yet and have been saving it. So, assuming that Becky versus Rhea is still happening at WrestleMania 40, it looks like Becky will need a couple non-title feuds to keep her busy until WrestleMania season rolls around, and it appears that one has just kicked off. Becky Lynch and Nia Jax came face-to-face on the December 4th edition of Raw and exchanged some words backstage. And this wasn't the first time that the two of them exchanged words since Nia has been back. They actually met in a similar fashion a few weeks back where Nia Jax poked fun at how good it felt to break Becky's face back in 2018. While Becky poked fun at Nia for being fired and released while she went on to main event WrestleMania and win multiple world titles. That was a big moment a few weeks ago, and many thought that it would kick off for their feud. But that didn't really go anywhere until the most recent edition of Raw. Becky Lynch told Nia Jax that she still needs to give her a receipt for that popular moment that happened in 2018 of Nia breaking Becky's nose. It's a massive moment in both Becky's career and in overall WWE history. Nia breaking Becky's nose canceled Becky Lynch and Ronda Rousey's singles match for Survivor Series. Obviously, a Becky Lynch versus Ronda Rousey match doesn't have the same appeal to it in current day. But 2018 was a much different time. Everyone was hyped for that match, and it was the biggest dream match that everyone was looking forward to seeing back then. So when Nia's accidental punch to Becky's nose got that match canceled, everyone was a bit bummed out by that. But at the same time, fans think there would have been no WrestleMania 35 main event for the women if that Nia Jax broken nose punch was never thrown at Becky Lynch. So it's a big history-changing moment that really makes you think about the butterfly effect. If Nia never broke Becky's nose, Ronda and Becky would have met at Survivor Series that year and possibly never main evented WrestleMania 35 with Charlotte. So it's pretty insane to think about. But despite that moment happening over 5 years ago, Becky Lynch and Nia Jax never really met in the ring over those 5 years. And it obviously may not turn out to be the greatest match of all time, but there's obviously money there with their backstory and rich history with each other. It writes itself. Nia broke Becky's nose all those years ago, and now Becky still hasn't forgotten about it. That story and feud will have a personal feel to it, and those programs mostly turn out to be a success. And it looks like that's exactly the type of feud that WWE is turning to in order to keep Becky Lynch busy for a while. Becky Lynch confronted Nia Jax after Nia's win over Shayna Baszler, but Nia ran out of the way and went away from Becky Lynch. It looks like Becky Lynch will never fully get revenge on Nia Jax all these years later for arguably one of these biggest things that has ever happened to her in her WWE career. It looks like Becky Lynch will finally get her revenge on Nia Jax all these years later for arguably one of the biggest things that's ever happened to her during her WWE career. So it'll be interesting to see how they play off that big 2018 moment and incorporate it into the current day storyline. In a big shocking turn of events, Jey Uso, Jimmy Uso, nor any other superstar for that matter, won't be allowed to use the term yeet going forward on WWE television. Yeet was a popular word during the Bloodline's time together. They sprinkled it in sometimes, and even Paul Heyman said it as well. But where it really took off after that was the Fastlane press conference with Jey Uso and Cody Rhodes. It was a very fun press conference, and Jey and Cody were both saying it there, which made it go viral. It picked up so much momentum that crowds all over the country started chanting it and bringing signs. And Jey Uso and WWE appeared to embrace the trend because they created yeet merchandise and really went with it. but it looks like they might have jumped the gun a bit too early before locking down any trademark rights to the term. On the December 4th edition of Raw, WWE aired a highlight package of Jey Uso's big moments over the last few weeks. And one of the most obvious things was the fact that they strangely blurred out Jey's yeet shirt from the highlight package. Reason being that WWE came across some trademark issues with the term. All usage of the term and merchandise must stop immediately. So Jey Uso is no longer allowed to say the term and use it as a catchphrase. And obviously all merchandise items will be discontinued and not allowed to be used by Jey Uso on WWE television. So it's very unfortunate because Jey Uso definitely struck gold there with that momentum he was picking up with yeet. Even if you look at the crowd every week, there's always several yeet signs. Obviously, you can't stop the crowd from chanting yeet during Jey Uso's matches, so that element of everything will still be there and stay in place. So if the crowd wants to chant it, obviously they can and no one will stop them. But as far as Jey Uso using the word and merchandise himself, it looks like that has unfortunately come to an abrupt end and will no longer be the case. Despite not really being in the world title picture or any steady feud at the moment, Drew McIntyre continues to be a main focal point on Raw. Drew's story over the last few months has been that he feels like he deserves better and is constantly being overlooked. Drew even had a moment on Twitter this week that, surprisingly enough, fed his narrative. WWE released the official Royal Rumble poster that featured the face of dozens of superstars, but absent from the poster was Drew McIntyre. Drew reposted the poster and asked fans if they understood his frustration now. And then on the December 4th edition of Raw, Drew touched on the treatment that CM Punk has been getting from WWE. Drew McIntyre said that it was hard for him to believe that someone who was fired and released from the company, who went off to do so many things over the last few years and bash WWE, could just instantly come back and be forgiven by WWE. He also had a problem with how easily Randy Orton forgave Jey Uso. So just a big combination of things that are affecting Drew McIntyre and making him feel so many different ways right now. The fact that Drew McIntyre got a world title match before he did, even though Drew defeated Jey a few weeks ago, also really irked Drew. Drew McIntyre proceeded to demand everyone's attention by defeating Sami Zayn in a pretty amazing match. Drew even brutally attacked Sami Zayn backstage, and Drew did say that one of them wasn't walking out of there tonight. So he stayed true to his word. It's also being reported that the backstage moment was fully meant to write off Sami Zayn for a little while. Sami has been going full-time, not missing a single show for a long time now, so it appears to be a well-deserved break for him. Drew McIntyre also had another big moment towards the end of the show, where he fully took out both Jey Uso and Seth Rollins. So it continues to be a monstrous showing for Drew McIntyre as he officially enters this new heel era for himself. It also appears that both Jey Uso and the World Heavyweight titles are in his crosshairs. So we'll have to see which one he ends up going after first. But what are your thoughts on today's stories? Leave your comments below. Don't forget to subscribe with all notifications on and leave a like if you enjoyed. Thanks for watching, guys.